Rain pounded relentlessly against the asphalt, creating tiny rivers that reflected the harsh glow of neon signs from the empty streets. The night was heavy, almost suffocating, with fog curling around the lampposts. In the middle of this desolate cityscape, a small figure trembled beneath the harsh glare of a flickering streetlight. A little girl, no older than 10, clutching her arms around herself, her eyes wide and wet. Her stepfather's shadow loomed over her, the sound of his yelling echoing off the walls, mixing with the storm's rhythm. "You think you can hide from me?" he roared. She shrank against the damp brick wall, trembling, whispering a desperate plea. "Please, someone help me." From afar on the street, a low rumble grew louder, barely audible at first, like a heartbeat matching the girl's quickening pulse. A biker emerged from the darkness, helmet visor glinting under the neon lights, boots splashing through puddles with each deliberate step. His presence was heavy, silent, yet undeniable, a predator of justice walking calmly through chaos. He stopped several meters away, engine idling, his shadow stretching long across the rain-soaked asphalt. The girl's eyes flicked to him, hope mixing with fear, her small hands clenching in anticipation. The stepfather, noticing the silent intruder, sneered arrogantly, "And who are you supposed to be?" But the biker didn't answer. He tilted his head slightly, visor reflecting the red neon above, jaw tight, hands resting on the bike's handlebars. The tension in the air thickened, almost visible, as if the storm itself paused to watch. Every droplet of rain, every distant siren, every splash of water on the biker's boots amplified the intensity. The girl's breath came in shallow gasps, each exhale a mixture of fear and faint hope. The stepfather stepped closer to her, voice rising, oblivious to the silent force observing him. A small flinch betrayed the first crack in his overconfidence, though he didn't yet understand the storm approaching. The biker shifted slightly, the subtle scrape of leather against metal punctuating the silence. Rage simmered behind the visor, controlled but undeniable, ready to erupt at the first sign of wrongdoing. For a few suspended moments, time seemed to hold its breath. The trembling child, the arrogant villain, the silent, stoic biker forming a tense triangle of fear, threat, and impending justice. This was a calm before the storm, the trigger that would ignite the arc of vengeance, protection, and ultimate resolution. The rain fell harder now, a relentless percussion against metal and asphalt, drumming a tense rhythm that matched the rising storm inside the street. The little girl pressed herself closer to the wet brick wall, eyes darting between the stepfather and the silent biker, who had positioned himself a few paces away. The air was thick with anticipation, almost electric, each droplet reflecting the neon glow like fractured shards of tension. The stepfather straightened, his chest puffed with arrogance, trying to assert dominance. "You think a man on a bike can scare me?" he sneered, stepping toward the girl with deliberate menace. But the biker did not flinch. He remained still, a mountain of calm rage. His visor mirrored the red streetlights. The only movement, the subtle tightening of his jaw, the shallow, controlled breaths that spoke of a storm ready to break. Silence became his weapon. Each heartbeat felt amplified. The storm outside a mere echo to the brewing storm within. The girl's trembling hands gripped her arms tighter, hope flickering in her eyes. She whispered again, barely audible over the rain, "Please, help me." Her voice was a fragile thread in the storm, but it carried weight, the weight of fear and trust placed in this stoic stranger. The stepfather sneered at her plea, then turned toward the biker. "And what are you going to do about it?" His voice was loud, overconfident, meant to intimidate, but each word landed like a challenge rather than a threat. The biker shifted slightly, a slow, deliberate movement that sent a ripple of tension through the scene. Rainwater splashed beneath his boots, the visor reflecting fleeting glimpses of the girl's frightened face. He exuded a quiet menace that needed no words, a predator of justice. The stepfather's confident smile faltered, just enough to hint that doubt had crept in. Time seemed to stretch, each second a drawn-out beat of fear, defiance, and anticipation. The villain's arrogance wavered under the weight of the biker's silent fury. Eyes locked, the standoff became almost ritualistic. The villain poised to strike, the biker ready, calm but lethal. Every micro-expression mattered. A slight flinch, a tightened fist, a shift in stance. The girl's hope strengthened with every passing heartbeat, sensing the inevitability of justice. The street held its breath, the storm outside echoing the storm within. It was a tension before the release, the silent prelude to action, the moment when fear transformed into impending justice, when rage met morality, and when the invisible line between victim and protector became unmistakably clear. The tension that had hung over the rain-soaked street shattered in an instant. The biker moved with deliberate speed, precise and controlled, like a predator striking at the exact moment prey falters. Each step was calculated, each movement surgical. The stepfather lunged overconfident, fists swinging, but the biker anticipated every motion, countering effortlessly. Rainwater splashed violently as boots met asphalt, punctuating the rhythm of the confrontation. Time slowed for the little girl. Her wide eyes followed every movement, heart hammering in sync with the staccato bursts of raindrops. The biker's hands moved almost invisibly, neutralizing the threat with efficiency, striking only where necessary. Each hit was measured, brutal but contained, a statement, not chaos. The stepfather staggered under precision of the assault, confusion replacing arrogance in his eyes. The veneer of control he had clung to for so long crumbled in moments. The biker's face remained hidden behind the visor, but every micro-expression of tension, focus, and controlled rage spoke volumes. The villain's overconfidence shattered further with each calculated move. The storm raged on around them, but the biker's presence carved a bubble of unstoppable justice. There were no screams of excessive violence, only the audible sound of impact, metal scraping, a grunt, rain splashing. Every noise magnified by the silence that enveloped the street. Finally, the stepfather fell, disarmed and broken, gasping for dominance that had vanished. He looked up, eyes wide, as the reality of his defeat settled in. The girl's breath caught in her throat. Relief washed over her like a wave. Fear gave way to awe. She realized that justice had arrived in the form of this silent, unstoppable figure. The biker stepped back slightly, the rain dripping from his helmet visor, engine rumbling quietly, a stark contrast to the chaos just moments before. He didn't gloat. He didn't speak. His calm presence alone affirmed the moral order restored. The little girl instinctively moved toward him, trembling hands brushing against her damp hair. For the first time, she smiled, a mix of gratitude and relief. The storm outside began to soften, rain easing to a gentle patter. Shadows stretched long across the wet pavement, reflecting neon lights. The street now a quiet testament to precise justice meted out. This was the apex of the arc. Fear confronted, rage channeled, villain neutralized. Calm replaced chaos, and the stage was set for the final healing moment, where the biker would offer a quiet, weighty line, leaving behind the aftermath of moral justice. The rain softened to a gentle drizzle, tapping quietly against the neon-lit pavement, as if the storm itself was finally taking a breath. The street, once a stage for tension and fear, now lay calm and reflective, the reflections of flickering signs shimmering like fragments of a nightmare already passing. The little girl stood in the middle of the puddle-strewn street, chest heaving, trembling hands slowly unclenching. Her wide eyes, once clouded with terror, now sparkled with a fragile light of relief. She took a cautious step toward the biker, whose helmeted head remained slightly bowed, visor dripping with rain. His presence was still commanding, stoic, but now tempered with quiet authority. He hadn't spoken during the confrontation. Words were unnecessary. His actions had already carved justice into the night, leaving no room for doubt. The girl whispered, her voice barely rising above the soft patter of rain. Thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you." The words trembled, but they carried the weight of gratitude, awe, and the release of months, perhaps years, of fear. Her small fingers brushed at the droplets of rain on her face, as if cleansing the remnants of terror. The biker lifted his head slightly, the visor reflecting the faint neon glow. His voice, low and deliberate, cut through the quiet. "Stay safe. That's all that matters." There was no flourish, no drama, just a simple truth, heavy with moral weight. The girl nodded, swallowing tears, her lips curving into a small, hesitant smile. Hope, fragile but real, had returned. He mounted his bike slowly, boots pressing into puddles, sending small sprays of water across the asphalt. The engine hummed low, blending with the sound of the soft rain. Without another word, he rolled forward, disappearing into the fog and neon shadows at the end of the street. The girl watched him go, every step of his departure echoing the silence that followed. The calm after the storm, the quiet assurance that justice had been served. The camera pans wide, capturing the empty street, wet and glistening, the neon lights reflecting like shards of memory. In the aftermath, the city feels lighter, less menacing. Fear has given way to calm, rage has been channeled into moral action, and the lesson remains clear. Heroes need not speak loudly. They act, and their presence resonates long after they are gone. The little girl takes a deep, shivering breath and turns toward home, hope guiding her steps, carried with a quiet reassurance that even in the darkest nights, someone watches, protects, and restores balance.